It is... What date is it now?
It's the 30th, maybe.
The 30th of December.
Depends if you're a Patreon subscriber or not.
Well, regardless, we're in the perineum of the year.
Yes, we are. We're in the bath.
The gooch.
The absolute bath of the year.
The gooch.
And I, even though obviously we're recording this much earlier in December so we can get some time off, I am comfortably going to predict that our Facebook page and our Twitter were besieged by outraged listeners agreeing with me that Queen are far better than the Beatles.
Well, do you know what? I've just, this very moment, have
you googled it? Is Queen better than the Beatles?
I've gone on my... No, much like when you tried to convince me that Kiss were better than Iron Maiden.
Which I've gone on... Sorry, Motley Crue.
It's also true. But
no, that was... there was two different conversations.
Much like when you guys tried to convince me that Motley Crue had more hit songs than Kiss.
That's
which is
true.
Fucking ridiculous.
Oh, fuck. So I've gone on Twitter and asked, answer me this. The
Twitter
Beatles or Queen? Well, at the moment it's 4-1 to Queen.
Yes.
Over the Beatles.
I'm telling you, man, you guys, your fingers not on the pulse.
Dave,
you're fucking tone deaf.
This is the public that voted for Trump and voted for Johnson.
Mate,
so,
and voted for Johnson.
I've done the wrong thing. Could you shut the kitchen door? I'm getting a bit of a draft.
Fucking passive aggressive bullshit.
Spoken like a true Beatles fan. I'm having a bit of a draft there.
I hope you all had a lovely Christmas. It's literally 10 minutes after the last podcast for us. Thanks. I think that's closed, Chris.
Is that better?
Yeah, thanks. So we're just going to ask some more silly questions to each other. Some more serious questions as well.
Serious questions. Serious questions. Topical musical debate.
Serious men.
I've drank more than half of my mulled wine, so
you're behind.
When does it get okay to DJ Michael Jackson tracks again? Is the question that Mark wants to know.
Yeah, that's a question that I asked. I asked Chris that question at a club night, and I was like, "He's like, what do you follow Prince with?" And I was like, Michael Jackson. But no, it's going to be Cameo instead. But
it's like, dude, it's too soon.
Yeah, I know.
But I've been to various venues, at various parties and stuff like that, and Michael Jackson's been played, and not a lot of people, fucking person back in Ireland.
A lot of people haven't cancelled him. I would DJ'd a wedding quite recently and got asked for Michael Jackson, and I said, I'm afraid that's not going to be happening. But
I'm not going to.
Yeah, he's not been fully publicly cancelled. He's just been cancelled within
woke circles.
It appears.
Somebody asked recently, when not on Saturday but previously, for the Smiths, and I was like, I can't do it. I mean, I can't do it, one, because they're pish, but I can't do it.
See, that's an interesting one. I don't think the Smiths are cancelled. I think Morrissey's clearly cancelled.
See, that's the thing.
It would be a guilty listen now.
Shame for Johnny, though.
That's fucking like saying Lost Prophets are not cancelled. Like,
no,
they basically are.
I mean, the Lost Prophets are definitely.
They were
cancelled.
garbage, right? Obviously, but a lot of people still like them.
I mean, the other guys in Lost Prophets weren't fiddly.
Yeah, no, they weren't at all.
What was the other one? I've lost my train of thought.
R. Kelly.
I mean,
R. Kelly. No, people still play R. Kelly.
Really?
I mean, fucking Chris Brown still gets played on the radio. Chris Brown.
Yeah,
that's
a total bullshit thing, man.
What the fuck is that?
Yeah, fuck that guy. Absolutely fuck that guy. He's a fucking.
He's as big as he ever was.
Man. Yeah.
There's a really good Jim Jeffries sketch, like, are you famous enough to be a successful paedophile? And that's a good one, because there is like a dividing line of like, there's like an axis of like profitability versus.
Well, it's interesting to see how low the monarchy stock has fallen, that they are now not big enough to save. You know, Prince Andrew will be thrown to the wolves as the
non-sweaty.
Well, yeah, as the guy
pizza fan.
I think the elite will accept him as a victim, but there are certain other members of the elite that won't be given up as easily as him.
I think these are interesting times. There was a news story that broke, well, for you guys, like 26 days ago. But I noticed there's a news story that broke that was the wealthiest 6 people in Britain have as much as the bottom 13 million.
Yep.
Which was quite remarkable in terms of like throwing fuel in the fire of resentment and class fucking animosity. So I don't know if Andy will escape. And then there was also like rumours of the Queen dying. She may well have died by now.
Gibble broke that.
He totally fucking did.
That could have happened.
Yeah, that's true.
That could have happened.
Can I get real for a second and you might want.
It's just not real.
You might want to cut this back in. But I've been thinking about this a lot this year because I have a few friends that have been like harping on about this whole fucking cancel culture and Louis C.K. and why he's like not as like willing for why he's not as what's what I'm looking for. Why he's not as up for being accepted,
redeemed.
Redeemed. Why he's not as up for being redeemed when compared to Anzi Sansari, right?
Well, because what he did was totally different.
Well, that's one thing I was going to say, yeah. But also, like, I think there's a lot of people that kind of go around talking about how, like, if somebody gets cancelled, at what point can they be like so apologetic enough that they can then be uncancelled? And I've been thinking about this a lot, and I've been thinking to myself, like, I don't understand why people think people should be uncancelled, right? And then I finally came to the conclusion that is, see if a school teacher did something like that, they'd be struck off. They would never be allowed to do that job again because they abused that power.
Mm-hmm.
And why is it not the same for
a musician?
People who have quote unquote fame, right? That person's clearly proven
so they should be struck off
unable to do that job because they abused the
register.
Power. Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
like,
but
why does that not apply?
I mean, the whole point of this is that there are shades of grey, and it's not like one person does the wrong thing and then therefore are cancelled. The whole problem with this,
yeah, we were talking
the problem with this is that like there's been like bands where, and I suppose Aziz Ansari was one of these, but then there's been bands that have come out and talked about this, or things have been accused of things, and it's not clear what is gone wrong, and it's all about miscommunication, and some things are a lot worse than others.
Well, I think
and the whole point is that there's no right or wrong way of treating people like this, because every single case has to be treated subjectively.
That's more the gist of it, I think. We were talking about friends of ours who'd taken to posting up about how Winston Churchill was like history's greatest monster, and you know, that complete lack of nuance in anything. I mean, Winston Churchill did a lot of really awful stuff and definitely had serious problems with racism, but you know, then again,
so did the entire society at that time. It wasn't just him.
I think also you have to look at it, and the world in Europe would be a very different place if he hadn't done what he did, amongst other things. So, but clearly, like what Aziz Ansari was accused of, which I think is probably one of the best examples of the cancel culture somewhat out of control, because you can repudiate someone for something that you feel is mildly inappropriate, but to fucking literally obliterate their character publicly and their career, or attempt to at least, for something like that, and then to sort of conflate it with what Louis C.K. did, which was a great deal more serious, to then conflate that with what Harvey Weinstein did, which was a great deal more serious again, to conflate that with what Ian Watkins for Lost Prophets did, which was a great deal more serious again. It's like it's just a completely obscene laziness in the discourse.
Yeah, somehow all of those are just covered under
the same
cancelled.
Yeah,
and like, that's not how the world works.
Yeah, and
it shouldn't be up to us, and it shouldn't be up to the Twitter mob to decide. It should be up to, as it was before the internet, it should be up to the small circles of society, and then
dispassionate thinkers on it as much as is possible to try and make a serious fucking judgment on it. But unfortunately, we are the Twitter mob as well, so we can't talk about that like it's another thing.
That's what I was going to say. Like, at what point does it go like the Twitter mob? They've decided that Louis C.K. is no longer cancelled.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, what he done?
I don't really give a fuck if Louis C.K. gets. Like, I mean, it's not a case of getting uncancelled. I just don't particularly care about seeing Louis C.K. again.
Yeah.
So I think
like for me,
he's ban is
like that. I'm exactly the same. It's not. I don't care if he's cancelled or not. I just know that I don't trust him.
Yeah,
and I don't want to see him. So I've made it up.
Yeah,
me personally, he's cancelled for me. But he's not.
See, I don't
think there should be a big cancelled over him.
That's what I'm trying to illustrate is like the fact that if there's a board, I'm not going to say there'll ever be a board of cancelled culture, right? But if it was a profession, there'd be a board which should decide that person should no longer be able to take a position of power again. Do you know what I mean? And obviously we can't have that. We won't ever have that.
But
it's worth thinking about when you think about these things. I think.
Right. So I think obviously there's a danger of being a little bit glib with the kind of conflation again with teaching, because that's something where public money.
I don't just mean teaching. I mean like if you're a doctor or a lawyer or whatever.
That's kind of my point. Certainly in this country, you're in receipt of public money. It's not private practice. So technically, if you're a celebrity, it's private practice, and so your fortunes will be based on the market's ability to decide whether or not the market wants to give you money. If you're a teacher, a doctor, a policeman, whatever, and it's a state-funded thing, you're getting public money. And I think the public, if any of them have an objection to that, have a right to air that objection. So I don't think a teacher, where they're getting public funding and they're guaranteed an income regardless of the marketplace, is the same as Louis C.K. taking a chance, going back on the circuit and seeing who turns up, because that's unfortunately one of the natures of capitalism, in the sense that it's like, well, it's up to the market to decide. If enough people have made their own decision and they're willing to either look past it, don't know about it, or have got over it, then they can go and see him again. He, as a private venture, is able to do that. But I think like teaching and those kind of things, where you're guaranteed an income at the expense of taxpayers, and in that way you're victims, or victims in a social sense, that's quite different. But what this really comes down to is that Queen are better than the Beatles. And we should remember that.
Yeah, so I mean, we're having a very festive chat about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I get what you're saying, man, but I'm just trying to underline the point of like, there's people that decide, as people don't decide, and I think it becomes an interesting conversation when you
I think we
start
should hunt them down with torches.
I'm up for that.
You can do that
Pitchforks.
too, yeah.
I love a
Whoever it is that
pitchfork.
decides. Remember when it was alright for Mel Gibson to be anti-Semitic and Tully wasn't making the right amount of money, and then it was like, right, fuck that, get him done. Same with Kevin Spacey. It's like, nah, he's been doing this.
It's always been okay for Mel Gibson to be anti-Semitic because he's Catholic, so
Kevin Spacey, it's like, he's been doing that shit and worse for fucking decades, but it was like, well, he's stars on the wane now.
he was held to account though, and that's the thing.
Take him down. He wasn't really though, was he?
Ricky Gervais took the piss out of him, so
that's
it. He's
done
been
for,
held
that's
to
it.
account.
Oh, if people knew what Kevin Spacey's been up to, really.
All right, so we should answer some questions, or ask some questions.
Yes, we
to
might
what
as
we're
well
supposed to be
do
doing.
something funny. Okay, well, the next subject is one that we devised for ourselves, and it's a little bit special because it's Christmas.
Yeah,
And we hadn't done a sound as a pound in a while, and we thought we should try and shoehorn this back in so people don't forget it.
Make it a thing.
so sound as a pound was where we buy a little present for each other.
Well, no,
from the pound
the
shop.
original sound as a pound is where we go into the pound shop,
Yeah,
any pound shop, and you have a budget of £1 to buy a record and try and make it something worth talking about. Well, we thought, it's Christmas.
yeah.
Let's spend £2 and buy each of my other guys here. Guys, I had to go for that word. I wasn't sure what to say. A little gift. So we've all bought the other two a little treat. And I think we should pass them out.
Hey,
Should we pass them
right,
out?
yeah. Let's literally just pass them out.
I'm about
Not pause.
I'm about to open my bag. Can you hear my bag? No, let's just keep it rolling. Let's just grab that shit.
I'm going to throw mine at each other at you.
Don't throw it at me.
No,
Chris,
wait a minute.
catch this.
Yep.
The cellophane's still on it.
Yep.
I brought my whole poly bag with me.
Oh, David, you shouldn't have. You actually shouldn't have.
Mark, here's your present, which you probably own already.
I actually don't. Do you know what's quite funny, right?
David?
I actually don't own this record, even though I fucking actually really used to love it. Don't throw that at me, Dave. Have some. Oh, that was a good catch, Chris. This CD's already broken anyway.
Oh, gutted.
I wonder why that is.
Yeah, these have all come from the pound shop,
Can I actually hear
the
it?
pound
I
store.
love it when it's rattling about inside the case.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry, Mark. I dropped it.
What a shame.
Well, can I be the first to say thank you very much, David, for Garbage version 2.0.
Yeah.
It's exactly what I was asking for.
Well, you know, I
in
wanted
1998 not to get.
you a 90s alt rock thing with Butch Vig involved, so I got
like
you
how
that.
That's what you think it
Butch
is.
Vig.
Do you know what? The first Garbage album is pretty good.
Do you know that the year the first Garbage album came out, as a wee poor fucking only child getting spoiled by my parents, my gift that Christmas
Makes
was
so much sense.
a little CD player, like a little fucking, what do you call it, like a wee boombox.
Yeah. A ghetto blaster, like
Yeah,
a council house
And
blaster.
one CD, and that's all I had was one CD, and
And
it
what
was
CD was
Garbage's first album.
First record,
Yeah,
not a bad record.
I'm only happy when it rains. Feel good when things are going wrong. I only listen to the sad, sad songs. I'm only happy when it rains.
not bad. Good at the time. Dated, but I think. We obviously, you know, we have listened to these albums.
Don't dispel the illusion.
Well, otherwise we're just going to be fucking like, well, I like the cellophane on the outside, David. That's really nice. It's really neat. No, I mean, that first, I have some thoughts on Garbage. So will I
go for it.
Kick us off.
Yeah.
Okay. I would say that. So in Garbage version 2.0, there are 6 singles.
Yeah.
Right? 6 fucking singles, and I mean they're not good, but they're singles. One thing that's interesting is that the first single off that album, coming on the back of the first album, which I think was a total unexpected success, is a song called Push It, which is like number 7.
Yeah.
And it's really like, you won't recognise it. It's not like a big song, even in the context of the record, despite being a single. But it sounds the most like the first album, and that's kind of interesting because it still kind of seems like they maybe didn't know what was going to work for them to kind of, to make another big impact. So it didn't seem like they'd really planned the first one.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of something that really that really brings to my attention something about Garbage that I think I was too naive to really realise in like 97, 96, 97?
96, I think.
95 the debut actually, 95. Yeah. So I was too naive to realise in 95 when that came out, right? Garbage had like pre-existed, so like the people that were in it, Butch Vig and the 2 other ugly old guys, I can't remember their names, but they're all producers. They were all like, one of the guys does soundtracking and scoring for films.
Yeah.
They all worked in studios. Butch Vig obviously is mega famous for doing Nevermind and any number of other projects. These guys had realised that they were getting a little bit frustrated as producers, and they started writing these tracks, and originally the guys were singing and fronting the band on these tracks, and the tracks were very pop orientated. They had really high production values. They were very like cashing in on that sort of alternative zeitgeisty pop rock Republica type crossover thing that was going on.
You're forgiven. I know my ex-boyfriend lies. Oh, he does it every time. It's just his permanent disguise. Yeah, but he's drop dead gorgeous.
And then the guys were kind of coming to the conclusion that we're not going to break here unless we have a young woman fronting this band. So they started canvassing around. One of the guys was watching late night MTV and saw I can't remember what the name of the band was, Angelfish, I think it was.
Yeah, it's Angelfish.
Angelfish, Shirley Manson's band at the time.
I get a thrill when the curtain calls. I feel like a Roman candle. Do your stuff while the empire falls.
And on the back of Goodbye Mr. Mackenzie, which she'd been in previously, and was like, we need somebody unusual but good with an interesting look. And so they basically contacted this girl from Edinburgh. Bearing in mind these guys are working from like fucking LA. They were like, contact this girl from Edinburgh that we've seen on late night TV and recruit her for the band, then redo these tracks with this young woman fronting it and these fucking crumbly old balding guys doing the backing music. Stop me if this sounds familiar.
Well, it's like for when we need a new female host on our podcast. That's what we're going to have to do.
Yeah.
We're going to have to go to LA and find a young girl to come and get crumbly old guys.
So I guess in hindsight, seeing that, I'm like, that's a little bit disillusioning. It's a little bit, there's something a wee bit tacky about that. And I think it wasn't until listening to this that it becomes so brazen, because it's not really that brazen in the first album, because the first album is still, you can...
And it seems to have a lot of her personality in it, because she's got such a charismatic presence to it.
She's great. She definitely, it's a clever addition. It does what they set out to do.
Don't believe in anything that you can't break. Stupid girl. You stupid girl.
And they were right. They absolutely needed like an attractive young female focal point to sell that product. But it still feels more genuine and a bit more naive, and the best material is on the early record, I think. From this point on, like I said, 6 singles. There's no mistaking what they're trying to do with a fucking record with 6 singles. The production on it is a bit more heavy-handed. I think it's actually aged worse than the debut. Like it just feels so fucking cloy and like derivative.
What you've got to prove, I think I'm paranoid and complicated. I think I'm paranoid.
It's trying hard as fuck all the way through. I mean, that track, I think I'm paranoid, sounds like a Lego alt rock.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
heavily processed. There's the vocals in the first verse also as well sound exactly like an REM vocal, like they've copied the exact pattern. And I never liked the chorus in that. And but like as I said, I liked Garbage's first album. Like so I was growing up pretty fast here, kind of realizing that alright, okay, maybe things aren't always what they seem. But this album, immediately I was gone. I was like, right, I'm off this train. When I Grew Up, do you remember that song?
Celebrate you. I'll be back to frame you when I grow up. I'll be stable. When I grow up, I'll turn the tables.
Yeah.
When I grow up. That one. Just sounds like Republica. If you remember the band Republica.
I do indeed.
Yeah, and there's a track on it called Special as well that I think they kind of conspire to really highlight how fucking artificial Garbage as a project was.
Spread disease about you all the town. I used to adore you.
The first Garbage album was a Garbage album. The second Garbage album was, let's try and mix Skunk Anansie with the Cardigans, with Republica, with Elastica, and all of these female-fronted rock bands, and try and get the best of all of it, and try and like really make this product that's going to be better than all of it. And it ends up just being this fucking tacky thing that isn't good within itself. Whereas, yeah, that first Garbage record stands up.
Yeah, it's good to see that music is in a healthy condition when today they announced an Alanis Morissette 2020 World Tour supported by Garbage.
Supported by Garbage.
Yeah.
That's how
Hey,
it goes,
nostalgia
man.
sells,
There it
mate.
goes.
Nostalgia sells.
Fucking member berries.
Mark, whose present you going to talk about?
So, since Chris just spoke about the present that you got him, I think I will talk about the present that Chris got me.
You're welcome, Mark. I can see you're very happy.
Which is one of 1.3 million copies of the record that was sold
1.3 million.
of Enya's Shepherdman.
By the way, I kept clicking on the wrong album because she's got another album with a cover that's almost identical, and I was
She
like,
surely does. So I didn't know this. I learned quite a lot by doing research on this. Enya's from Ireland.
yeah, I knew that.
I mean, I didn't know that.
You didn't know she was Irish?
I didn't know that. I just thought she was.
From
Oh no, she was she was part of like the 90s Irish boom to go along with
Cranberries.
the Cranberries, Bewitched, Ballykiss Angel, Father Ted, and
The IRA.
they were coming down, like they were kind of trailing off a little bit.
They were entering their stadium phase.
And Enya is her real first name as well, which is fucking
I
mental.
didn't know that.
And she was in a band called Clonad in the 80s.
Oh,
Do you remember them?
Was she in Clonad?
Yeah, she was in Clonad. Who did the
They're still going.
yeah, but they did
She left in 82, so she wasn't there for very long.
they
but,
did
yeah.
the song to that film about terrorism, I think.
Oh,
What was it called?
I know the one you mean. Yeah, I know.
It's a really beautiful soundtrack,
Yeah.
actually, and then there's a dance version of it as well. Chicane Offshore or something did it. Anyway,
So anyway, this album is exactly what you think it would sound like. It's basically telephone hold music. It's
By the way, last night,
but while you're in the bath,
I was seriously tempted to add a blast beat to this album and see how it sounded, man. I was like fucking about with it. I was like,
Watching me, you know I cry. You wait a kiss to say goodbye. Feel this sky fall down the pole.
I think what's probably worth mentioning to people that might even flirt with the idea of listening to it on Spotify.
Well, wait a minute.
On Spotify, it says it was released in 2003. That's incorrect.
That's a remaster.
It's early 90s,
Yeah, it was
isn't
released
it?
in 1991. So I was
1991,
listening to it on Spotify when Chris told me, and I was like, man, everything sounds so fake in this record. And then I realised it was the early 90s, that's why.
Excuse me, right? There was one thing about this record that really caught me off guard when I was listening to it. You know that thing where you buy someone a present?
It's untethered beauty.
It's timelessness. No, it's the fact that it actually sounds a lot like a bunch of stuff that was quite big about 4 or 5 years ago. For example, it sounds like, in a lot of places, it sounds like Beach House minus the drums.
You think so?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's really interesting because it is like the ultimate background music. I don't mean that in a pejorative way. Like,
I mean, it was like big dinner party music for like that sort of middle-aged set.
I remember hearing this record in the car because Mum had a copy of it for some fucking reason, and it was always like, that's just there. It's not like, there's nothing like engaging about it. Do you know what I mean?
I'm telling you, man, you could, if we were really serious about this podcast, which clearly we're not, we could easily set up and run a taste test, a fake Pepsi challenge on this album, and say, this is this album from this LA shoegaze band. Pass it off as like a sort of like a Salem meets Beach House meets like some kind of wispy thing. I'm absolutely adamant. If you listen to this with a kind of like a blind approach, the remaster version, so it doesn't sound quite so stodgy like the old one, you could get away with it at points. Definitely get away with it. That's why I was going to add a beat to it, because when I realised the similarities with some stuff that was coming out 4 or 5 years ago, I was like, fuck, man. Like, music in the mainstream, alternative music now is so safe by
but also
standards.
like music, because this was such this record and the one before, I think, what was it, Watermark? That was the one with Orinoco Flow and like sold like 20 million or whatever. Like, that was so... Oh my god, I've drunk too much mulled wine. I can't remember any words. But because it was so prevalent and
ubiquitous
in culture, I think it was ingrained in a lot of people's psyche. And like growing up, when you're like 3 years old, 4 years old, that's a very nostalgic thing. And then when you're making electronic music when you're 20, 25, that's something you kind of automatically go back to. You go back to like the video games of your youth or adverts. And like Enya was just like something that was there for everybody in the early 90s.
It's weird though, because of like technology now, it's so easy to replicate. Like, because of like home studios, the idea of putting on like a bunch of synthy pads, a couple of wee blippy bloops, and then tons of reverb on an oozy-azzy kind of vocal is so easily done, and a lot of people do it as a result, and it basically sounds like Enya.
That's actually one of the things I found quite interesting about this. Like, the music does absolutely fucking nothing for me, right? Like, in any capacity, but I've heard Caribbean Blue before, I've heard Book of Days, I've heard Marble Halls, they were the big singles. This record,
Caribbean Blue is a fucking, like, I'm in the pit for that one.
The orchestra pit.
It sold 13 million copies, you know what I mean? Like, it was not a fucking slouch. It was number 1 in the UK album charts, for fuck's sake. And Enya, like, arranged it all, like, and that's fucking cool, man. But I think a lot of the song structures are really interesting. Just, you've heard it, like we're saying, you've heard it so much by this point, it's like there's nothing there anymore. You know, it's that whole new agey vibe, which is definitely a big thing in the late 80s, early 90s. Yeah, man, it just became
It's also like she's also a fucking easy target for like jokes and stuff like that. I mean, it's like Enya is such a go-to fucking punchline for, you know, any number of like slaggins.
Yeah.
If you're given an album a slagging, you know, but I think
she's Ireland's second biggest selling artist of all time behind U2. Do you know what? She never toured. She like intensely private and never did a concert tour.
like Salem.
But she's one of the best selling artists of all time. She's sold something like 75 million records worldwide.
Just by,
And she makes
Just by
nice background music.
just by having hundreds of reverb.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
And do you know, as soon as like when you sent this, when I knew you sent this to Mark, I just ultimately thought of having a bath.
Yeah.
I was just like, a bath.
Totally is, yeah.
A couple of candles, scented candles, and a bath.
One of those salt bombs, one of those bath bombs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man. Fucking right.
It's like the Body Shop.
and a
in-
swan
Yeah.
having a bath, and a swan walking in
Yeah.
with a tray of hors d'oeuvres, and a swan serving you hors d'oeuvres in the bath.
Would you like an olive?
I think
So,
Enya should be admired for the fact that she is very capable as a musician and she's got a fucking cracking voice, but she's not a really good songwriter. So
She did alright for herself. Right?
she's done really fucking well for herself, regardless of that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fuck
so,
it.
Yeah, good,
So-
good chat.
Davey boy,
All right. Who shall I go for?
Oh,
Right, I'll go for my
Spin
one
the
from
wheel.
Chris first.
oh, okay.
oh my goodness.
It's a
Chris,
it's a
I mean,
questionable album.
fucking hell. But it's a really interesting little
It's
time
interesting.
capsule.
It's interesting.
That's
man.
why I picked it.
Totally.
That's
So
why I picked
you have got me. The Shire Horses present the worst album in the world ever. Ever.
I've got a spotty face, well I tell you honey, you should see my ass, you should see my ass. My acne cheeks are a bloody disgrace, but I ain't that.
So if
The
you
first of
weren't
all, does
around in the
anybody remember
90s,
the best album in the world ever. Yeah.
yeah, I think I had like the first 6. Like genuinely, there was some shit on them, but like that was like mid 90s.
They
And
were
you got
after now as well.
you got the thick cassette, like double cassette box. And yeah, you're now 32 to whatever.
Still going.
That was still going. That was like your pop with a couple of indie and a couple of dance tracks on it. But like that was mainstream pop. Then now that's then the best album in the world, and then add all the artists on it.
Yeah.
Ever. That was like your more alternative indie rock, grungy sort of stuff. And I remember the first one I got, and it had Oasis and it had Blur and it had Pulp,
Stereophonics.
but it also had like the Prodigy. It would have Orbital on it, and then it would also have like Presidents of the USA, and it would have
good moments. Yeah.
like Beck on it, and it would like interesting.
They were the albums that if you went to a party and the music was humming, you could at least find 2 or 3 really good tunes on them.
Yeah, totally.
To stick them on. Yeah.
So this record by the Shire Horses is a satire. A
Satire
spoof.
gives it too much credit.
But what? So the Shire Horses are Mark and Lard, who used to be Radio 1 DJs, and they used to present the breakfast show
Yeah.
in the early
I know,
90s.
that's mental.
And then when I listened to them, it was like mid 90s, and they were on in the afternoon, and they were surreal comedy. And like as a 12-year-old listening to that, it was genuinely, it was like, what the fuck is this? Because like they used to do like fake call-ups, and it was very absurd humor, kind of in the vein of Vic and Bob, like Shooting Stars, that sort of thing.
yeah.
Very off the wall.
Very off the wall.
Not as good, but aye.
Not necessarily
well,
as good, but I mean,
yeah.
they've both gone on to become legitimate Six Music, presenters. Mark Radcliffe and Mark Riley.
Yeah,
are
he
both,
does Glastonbury and shit like that.
Yeah,
Mark
exactly. And
Radcliffe,
Mark
man.
Riley used to be in The Fall. At one point, he was obviously one of 55 keyboardists throughout their timeline. I'm not sure if he was the guy that was fired for eating a salad, but he's definitely one of the guys in The Fall. But the Shire Horses is basically like, it shows how big Britpop and Brit rock was in the mid 90s, because this was a thing that they did on their radio show where they did stupid comedy covers and like, piss takes of stuff by Oasis and Placebo and stuff like that. And it was so big that Warner Music UK Limited released a compilation and then did another one. They did another one 4 years later.
Yeah.
So this was the first one.
Which was a piss take of Radiohead's Kid A.
Yeah, it's called Our Kid A, because it was all like it was always like this north of English, like
Humour.
north of England humour. So on here we've got.
Can I just
stuff
say
like,
something about that North of England humour? Right, I think it's really interesting.
It's going to come up again.
That they were no. I think it's really interesting that they were so big in terms of like a DJ and like a voice on like the most popular radio show in the UK.
Yeah.
When New Labour, a bunch of fucking Oxbridge cunts, were into power, and the BBC has always had this reputation of having like these privately educated, like old boys club style people in charge, and then you get somebody like these guys who are like really fucking popular.
Yeah, but at the same,
quite interesting.
but at the same time,
Subversive,
youth
like-
culture was taken over. You had like the whole point was like Britpop, and like Tony Blair was inviting Oasis into 10 Downing Street. You'd got rid of the Tories. I mean, Tony Blair, although he, fucking Oxford guy, was not John Major or Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah,
We'd had
it's true.
Tory rule for 18 years.
What was
You
that,
also-
what was that phrase they had around about the time that Oasis were going to Downing Street? It was fucking like something Britain.
Cool Britannia.
Cool
It
Britannia.
was Cool Britannia, and you also had Loaded and FHM and Lad Culture. You had Denise Van Outen and
Kelly Brook.
Johnny, what's his name?
Yeah.
The Big Breakfast.
Oh yeah.
You had TFI Friday. You had Chris Evans.
Johnny
you had
Vaughan.
Zoe Ball on the Radio 1 Breakfast Show. It was like so 90s youth culture, lad, everything. And
Do you
this was
remember,
like a little piss take of it, but it was also totally part of it.
David, this do you remember when I got presented an award by Denise Van Outen and I wore
Was that?
and I wore a fake handlebar moustache and
Yeah.
then I gave you the award
Yeah,
and
I
a
know.
guy punched you in the face and you dropped it and broke it.
It was a good night. It's because I was trying to smash a traffic light with. Anyway, this album, The Shire Horses, I mean, it's dreadful.
Yes, then you sent it to Jeremy Beadle. I did, because you're gormless. But I'd do anything for you. Yes, but you're gormless.
It's fucking-
It's really bad, but
You went wrong.
it's like it's badly recorded, badly played. Some of the
So
humor,
badly played.
some of the humor is passable after one listen as a 12-year-old.
What's it like after a bottle of mulled wine?
It's bad, man. It's bad. Like, you've got Dick Cave and the Bad Cheese featuring Alan Ball, The Ballad of Franny Lee.
Only one lad who isn't half bad, and that's little George King Clancy. And at first the crowd roared, but now they just booed the new
You've got Poe Faces, Come On Squeeze My Boils. You've got Baby Bloke,
Baby bird.
You're a Bastard. You've got Edwin Bobbins, Girl Like You. Doofergrass, Feel Like
What's even
Shite.
funny about Edwin Bobbins? What's the fucking joke there?
Bobbins rather than Collins.
Yeah, but
I don't
what is
know.
Bobbins?
Bobbins is rubbish. It's like English slang for that's total bobbins.
Is that true?
Yeah.
I don't know.
They do a good piss take of Kula Shaker. When Kula Shaker were like the
Middle Eastern,
the Middle Eastern Indian yoga Brit
Colonists.
rock band. So they're called Pila Tater.
To it, let's have curry and rice. Chicken tikka papadum tala. Aloo gobi papadum tala. Onion bhaji papadum tala. Plate of chips.
But yeah, terrible. Thanks.
Tater, and they
But
thought-
a really interesting
Think
little time
about-
capsule.
Think about how fucking high you have to be to go peel a tater, and then think that's so funny to go all the way through with that, writing, recording, releasing a fucking album with a thing
On a major label.
on a major like, Peel
And
a
it got to
Tater.
number 22 in the
That's-
charts.
That's not funny enough in the first place to justify that.
Yeah,
effort.
exactly. So thanks for that, Chris. Beautiful.
I'm glad.
The 90s.
You got
Fucking
to
hell.
analyse the 90s though.
What a time.
Oh, speaking of the 90s, Chris, do you want to talk about 2000s? The early 2000s?
Mark, fucking hell, man. So, Mark, you bought me an album called Vehicles and Animals by a band called Athlete.
I would venture that this is the least artistically important piece of music we have covered in 2 years.
You know, but is that include Toploader or like?
I think it's far less interesting than Toploader.
Interesting,
It really is.
interesting, because there was 2 times that we've commented on the phenomenon of Englishness.
Yeah.
Right, Toploader and Hood.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, Hood, I'm not classing them in with this, right? But we spoke about the phenomenon of like polite Englishness in music, and Toploader we spoke about the sort of Middle England banality of like Jamie fucking
Jamie Oliver. But at least it had that cover on it that wasn't their own, but at least,
yeah.
you know.
So a bit of life. Yeah.
This is the biggest fucking musical shrug you could imagine. Like,
really
this
is.
album is astonishing. Like it's fucking like remarkable in its unremarkableness.
It really
Yeah,
is.
Like,
yeah,
it's-
truly.
What's come so easily? Fly to El Salvador. I don't know why, and I don't know what for. I've seen the picture for myself.
I mean, for example, I'm not exaggerating. The same drum beat is on about 8 of the songs.
Oh yeah, it's got that weird kind of, it's like a weird kind of 80s style synth, which I think is a bit jaunty and cool, but it's like,
Yeah.
fuck off, mate. Like, why is that there?
Well, it makes remember when I took Snow Patrol in recently? It makes Final Straw by Snow Patrol seem like fucking Captain Beefheart.
So like,
It's unreal.
But that's just fucking nominated for American Music Prize. Like, what the fuck,
but
man?
that's first of all, that's interesting because that's perfectly exactly what the American Music Prize really does symbolise. Really, that's why bands like Young Fathers don't give a fuck when they get the American Music Prize, because they're like, so what?
But Disney Rascal won it instead of them, so it's like...
So it's like they get in with like cool kids by picking like PG Harvey twice or whatever, but ultimately the Mercury Prize, their heart lies with this kind of stuff. This is where they fucking see it, like inoffensiveness. I mean, it sounds like Witherspoons. It's like that vibe.
Yeah.
Or like Brewers Fayre.
No, it sounds like oh fuck, what's the shop? It's not Primark. I can picture where it is in the Eastgate Shopping Centre in
Century
Inverness.
21.
No, I just remember with my ex-girlfriend going and like standing in the corner, and it never had any signal, and she'd try everything on, and I would just be so...
Malan?
No, I'll come back to you.
Littlewoods, New Look.
New Look, that's what it fucking sounds like. It sounds like New Look.
14 left to go. I didn't know that I was next in line, but it is not as if I had much time. Jet black all around me, voices calling, saying please don't go away.
So
This inspired a whole raft of bands, like, fuck, well, not
I don't think
inspired,
it
but was
inspired
part
anything. I
of
think
a
this was
whole...
part of, yeah. I
like,
think,
yeah.
like, basically this is like, you'll know some of the songs in it. Like, there's a track in it called West Side.
Chorus! Whenever you look, you can see that everybody wants to be part of the rock scene. Whenever you look, you can see that everybody wants to be part of the rock scene.
Which is like a sort of vaguely recognisable, but it's like super fucking English. I think the chorus in this is actually probably the most English thing I've ever fucking heard. like, and there's a track called You Got the Style, which is the one you'll definitely know, that's got it's getting hot in here.
It's getting hot in here. Must be something in the atmosphere. Oh, we could be laughing about it, making the most of the true British climate. Oh, it's getting hot in here.
And it's like the accent's super strong, and it's got like phrases in it like making it like a true British climate, that kind of fucking patter.
Yeah, that was like the upbeat. Oh,
It's stinking, man. It's fucking. I mean, this is like it's a form of football music, right? But hear me out. It's, if you tie this in with the Wetherspoons thing, it's a form of football music, but I don't mean like interest in football music, even like Hooligans, right? And I don't mean like Oasis interest in football music, and I don't even mean like Manic Street Preachers, like BMW late career sort of like football music. It's like, you know, the people that make up the bulk of the people that support like Charlton or fucking Luton or those kind of teams, and they go to Wetherspoons and they own loads of those small checked shirts with short sleeves. Do you know the ones that are just like, and that's
oh, I truly know them.
no t-shirt under it or that, just those small checked shirts, and they drink like Carling and they eat chips and they buy
onion rings if they're feeling excitable,
and they're just completely fucking boring, and they work in these horrible, tedious office jobs, and they live for like an endless stream of fucking football.
Yeah, it's like a musical equivalent of Swindon.
Yeah, exactly. And
It's like the M6 corridor.
this is the thing. That's the reason also that this music sold so big, though, because there's fucking loads of these people. There are fucking loads of them. Like,
Yeah, it's the majority of our
it's
country.
fucking terrifying. So it's like if you take like the worst bits of like the Ordinary Boys and Keane, and then add Chris Martin. That's what this sounds like. It is. I mean, it's deeply traumatic experience. Purely in that I forgot I was alive for like about 40 to 50 minutes. There's a track in it called El Salvador, which is the first one, by the way, which for about 5 fucking seconds sounds like it might actually not be terrible.
Yeah, and then
It
decides.
really is.
It actually, the chorus in that as well sounds exactly like Complicated by Avril Lavigne.
Yeah.
but without you ever wanting to sing it.
yeah.
So I mean,
They followed that up with an album called The Tourist, and that was one that had wires on it. Do you remember that was
a
like
huge song? Why
sad
was it a
because I've
huge
got
song?
wires
wires.
poking out of her skin.
Is that not on a
Of
fucking
that
advert for like
wire.
abused kids
And
now or something like
that's
that
a-
on TV?
Yeah.
Probably.
I see hope is here in a plastic box. I've seen Christmas lights reflecting your eyes.
Yeah, it was just like they'd gone, all right, let's write a really sad song.
The sad thing is that song is on that advert about abused kids, and you're watching it thinking, "Oh, that's terrible." What's this advert about?
I know. Hope they didn't make the kids listen to that.
So the lead singer is like now a songwriter for hire. It's crazy, man.
You thinking about getting him in to do a new Nexus tune?
Aye.
Yeah.
I mean, he does stuff with George Ezra on New Meat 6, so that tells you everything you need to know about that guy, right? But
Jesus.
still.
All right, Mark, next one.
So, David.
Oh, yeah. Pretty chuffed with this.
Right, hang on a second. Before you guys get your fucking boner on for these two stupid records, I'm gonna get. Right, talk amongst yourselves while I get a beer, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, so I'll wait for Chris to come back.
Oh, please, not in my account. I'll need a strong one for this.
All right, so we've got 2 records left. There's the
Yeah.
one that I bought for Mark, and there's the one that Mark bought for me.
I distinctly overheard you both unironically saying you really liked them.
Well, no, I think they're both quite
Decent.
well, we'll come to mine.
Plastic.
But let's talk about yours.
So, let me take you back.
I found this in the Glasgow Poundland for you, and I saw it, and I just thought,
But we should point out
I think you
Glasgow's a lot
genuinely
of
like
Poundland.
this record.
Well, let me take you back to 2002, right? So,
I'm there already.
I'm alright, thanks.
so I went to see a band called Boy Sets Fire in the Cat House, and I was a massive fan. Still am actually that band. And the band supporting them were a band called Feeling for a Friend, and it was their first ever UK tour. They'd just released their EP, Between Order and Model.
Yeah.
Fell in love with the band instantly. I was like 17 years old. They released another EP after that called 4 Ways to Scream Your Name, which was great. And then
That fucking name, oh man.
and then after that, it was the height of emo, man. Do you know what I mean?
It was true.
Absolutely,
emo.
yeah.
And then they released an album called Casual Dress and Deep in Conversation, which I thought was dead white at the time because I was like fucking 18 years old.
You thought it was dead white?
Witty.
Witty,
I mean, it was dead white.
Yes,
It's truly white.
white as fuck. And then when that album came out, I was deeply disappointed because they'd done these 2 EPs and there was like,
Really?
yeah, because I was like,
When that album came out, I was deeply disappointed.
That it
Because
came out.
so like on that record, there's like 12 songs on it, and like 4 of them had been. 4 of them had been released before, and the other songs they'd written to complement those 4 songs were just not as good, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2. So when I'd heard they went away to America to record an album with Terry Day, who was famous for producing Pantera, I thought, well, that's a bit weird. That could be quite interesting. And they went away and recorded this album called Hours. Which is the album that David got from me.
Yep.
2005 it came out, And the first single was a song called Streetcar, which is the second song on the record, and it's got this big galloping Iron Maiden riff, like dun 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 dun. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? This sounds interesting. And then it's kind of not, because it's got like this bit, like as a middle eight, where like people are talking to each other on the phone.
Well, the whole, and this is really embarrassing, but like the whole song starts off with a dial tone, and then it goes and then it comes in right. I was in a band at that time, and I didn't like that band, but I was just in it for the banter. And but our singer took a song away and put a fucking dialing tone noise at the beginning, and like 6 months after this song came out, and I was like, it wasn't even good when it first happened. Why have you done?
You're just like, mate, he's just ruined us. He's just ruined us.
Yeah, well,
we'll never make it now.
With that aside, the first song on the record, All the Rage,
I'm going back to Dimmer,
is like a total banger of a song. It's an absolute fucking class song, but the whole record for me was again quite disappointing. There was only like a handful of really good tracks on it. Recovery, The End of Nothing. The End of Nothing is a super fucking heavy song. Hospitality and Roses for the Dead as well were pretty good. There's a song on it called History, which is about the miners' strikes. They're from South Wales, so that's actually a really cool song if you think about it in the context of like them having grown up with like from like families of miners, and then like sort of reliving that trauma through, you know, familial bonds, and like, you know, being like
but
fucking like
I'm from Central Scotland, and I
just weren't smart enough to write that song, mate. Sorry, but that's just the way it was.
I just don't want some fucking shitey emo metal band to do a song about Clydeside striking.
It's because you didn't do it yourself, man. That's what it is. Like,
were you in the miners' strike? Like, I
was not. I'm fucking Pollock, man. Like, my dad wasn't a miner. But no, like, I think, like the first record, this is quite a disappointing record for me, but I've got a lot of feeling attached to it. I went to Wales and seen them like play 3 shows back to back in Newport, and then the place they're from, a really small town, begins with Bridge, can't remember the name of it, but basically saw them and they were fucking tremendous. Met the lead singer's dad, which is fucking really weird but kind of cool. They were supported by A Million Dead, who were a really small band at the time, so it was a really cool time. I've got a lot of good memories attached to this album, man. So when you picked it for me, I was like, "Fuck, man, that's a massive flashback for me."
Happy Christmas!
And it was like, yeah, totally happy Christmas, man. It was like
there
a
you
really
go. It's all about nostalgia. It's all about memories.
Nostalgic time capsule, man. I still occasionally listen to Recovery. Recovery and The End of Nothing are the only 2 songs in this record that I still listen to. That's occasionally, I don't listen to them regularly. Sometimes I want to fucking have a wee bit of a flashback to my youth. I'll be like, I'll put on A2 tunes.
Yeah.
But no, like they were a cool band for me at the time.
I was disappointed in this album because I felt it was kind of overproduced.
It really is, man. Yeah.
I really like Casually Dressed. I enjoyed it. I got that. I must have been 17, and I got that at the same time as I bought Lamb of God. And they covered all the bases for me. I had the metal and I had the emo, and I was happy with both records.
So Funeral would go on to release a whole bunch of more albums, some of which are really good, some of which were fucking dreadful.
I don't know if Dave agrees with that.
That's not true.
No, there's an album 2011 called Welcome Home Armageddon, which is basically a melodic hardcore record, and it's fucking brilliant because they just like chucked like all the melody and all the emo shit to the side and just went, you know what, we're going to play these like proper like Rise Against It style songs, and it's like actually fucking banging, and it's come so late in their career, you're like, where did that come from? That's a really strange thing. But before that they had an album called Tales Don't Tell Themselves, we decided, I think it was the last record on their 3-album deal for a major label, and they thought, do you know what we'll do? We'll be like a big arena rock band, and they fail utterly fucking miserably. It's
they were from
hilarious,
Wales,
man.
so they're obviously up against Lost Prophets and Bullet for My Valentine at the same time, and they couldn't do it.
They couldn't hang. They could not hang at all, man. And then the record after that, Memory and Humanity, has actually got like Ian Watkins doing vocals on it, which doesn't really age particularly well.
Don't talk about minors in front of him.
Hey-o. But yeah, no, thank you for that, man. Like, thanks for that.
I saw it and I thought genuinely,
like a story of Wales and the miners just won't do what you tell them.
Exactly.
I appreciate that, man. So thank you.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate this that you have got for me. It is 36 Crazy Fists, Bitterness the Star. And this truly defines Roadrunner Records between 1999 and 2003.
If that was in a digipack with 4 extra live tracks.
Yeah, that's true, actually. So, I mean, this is famous basically for having one song on it, Slit Wrist Theory.
Yes.
Yeah, 36 Crazy Fists came out. When did this come out? 2002. Yeah. So it was just a kind of the tail end of the new metal boom.
It was just before Killswitch Engage like blew it all apart by doing like metalcore.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you'd had bands like Seven Dust and Head Planet Earth and Spine Shank and Nothing Face.
I almost got you a Hoobastank record.
Oh my god! So Hoobastank, no, I can't deal with this. 36 Crazy Fists. Like every band kind of had to have a gimmick in nu metal. Mm-hmm. So for Orgy, it was the fact that they only did a cover and they dressed like gimps.
It was the fact they knew Jonathan Davis. Really, it was like...
Yeah. Like you had Head Planet Earth. The guy had dreadlocks. Dry Skin Logic. One of them was bald.
Dry Skin Logic.
Dry Kill Logic. Right. I mean, it doesn't really matter.
That's so fucking Freudian. I'm gonna get this boy some moisturiser, man. Fucking hell.
36 Crazy Fists. I think their gimmick was they were from Alaska.
Yes, that's exactly what it was.
Literally it. They were from Alaska, and so they wore like plaid shirts, and they looked kind of hard, like they worked on a quarry. And in fact, like the cover of this record is just like a bit of machinery in a yard.
It's so manly.
And also his vocal is like he does this really weird high melodic vocal with a tremolo, and I can't work out if it's an effect or if he's just going like this the whole time.
I saw them live on that tour because they were
He sounds you sound like that character from Coronation Street.
I saw them live because they were doing the Roadrunner tour, Road Rage tour with Killswitch Engage. And I went to see Killswitch, and that was the first time I'd heard that band. And no, that is what his voice sounds like when he sings.
Actually,
yeah,
no,
it's interesting.
You sound like what's his name? Not Keith Chegwin, the other one. Not Bobby Davro.
I don't know.
The one that was in
Les Dennis.
Les Dennis. You sound like Les Dennis's impersonation.
Oh yeah.
What's her fucking name? Starts with an M, doesn't it?
M?
Not Maureen. Not Deirdre. No. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Fucking Coronation Street character with a fucking weak, weird voice.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, so I think they obviously, like all of these bands, Roadrunner would stick them on either a Metal Hammer or a Kerrang CD, and the single off this album was Slit Wrist Theory, and the gimmick for that was it had a delay pedal, which I don't think had been found in nu metal yet because all they used was flange. But it had that song had like like a big riff that everybody knows. Mavis. And like to be honest, that's like a big anthemic nu metal hardcore song.
Yeah,
it's like pretty good, man.
Yeah.
The rest of this record is fucking shit.
But is it though, David? Is it? Did you really get into it?
There's a
Right.
few good riffs.
There's
on
a
it.
few good riffs in it, right? So the first track, Turn to Ashes, is definitely taken from the Deftones, like Head Up, like that sort of.
Yeah.
Like that era of nu metal, which I'm into, and then kind of goes a bit more basic with it. Circle the Drain is like total breakdown shit. But then there's just a whole lot of other
Just nonsense.
like the big brown nu metal, like the sort of slow spine shank or
Yeah.
the Seven Dust that just means nothing to anybody.
Did they not have any truly important and meaningful songs about miners' strikes, or perhaps the Exxon Valdez oil
Well, I
spill?
think it was probably gold mining if they're from
There we
Alaska.
go.
So,
It's profound.
but
you
funnily
go.
enough,
Yeah.
like they're obviously a band that were truly affected by Killswitch Engage because 2 years later they came back with an album called Snow-Capped Romance, and it was like, it wasn't nu metal, it was metalcore,
Yep.
and it was really good metalcore. And his vocals fitted that way more than it fitted this. They weren't trying to be Deftones anymore, they were just being a metalcore band, and they were really good at it.
Yeah, it worked. Yeah.
So this is like a really kind of stodgy 2 out of 5 nu metal record, but they ended up being a 4 out of 5 metalcore band, which is interesting. But I mean, thank you. I never got this record, so now I
you
have it. Now I have it.
Wow.
I gave all my CDs away 5 years
I
ago,
was
so
going to say,
Me too.
you'll have that big
it's
unit.
now it's one of my 6 CDs that I own.
I hope you have like a giant CD storage unit with just one fucking CD slotted in there.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
so,
two, I suppose. Two,
Yeah, two.
absolute rippers.
Yeah, the Shire horses. That's going straight in the car. So
and the
then
fucking
and then
foot bin.
No, it's going straight in the car, and then the car's going straight in the river.
yeah.
Burn it.